Shining bright, sunshine in the sky. Megan and Tammy here to testify, spreading love, laughter and good vibes too. The Fat Girl Chronicles, we're breaking through. No more.
Hey guys, welcome to Fat Girl Chronicles by Fat Girl Flippers. I'm Tammy.
I'm Megan.
And today on our podcast, we're here to talk about plus size travel, all the ins and outs, the tips, and our favorite spots to go.
Love it. So if you are watching on our YouTube channel, thank you so much. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, comment below, like our post, and definitely hit that bell so you're reminded every Friday when we post new content. We are also happy to announce that we are pretty much everywhere you can get podcasts. So that includes Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as well as Podbean and Podcast Addict, and a whole host of other ones. So definitely, if you're just jamming in your car and want to listen to our podcast, that's totally cool. You can find us at pretty much any podcast
Isn't that
spot.
awesome?
That is super cool. So that happened last week. Thank you to my hubby, Richard.
Yeah, shout out to Rich, because Rich does our editing and he does a lot for us, and I really appreciate it.
The tech stuff, yeah. So feel free to listen to it, and definitely share the videos. We're on number 6.
Yeah.
So
episode number 6.
Isn't that
Remember
unreal?
to subscribe too on YouTube so that you get all the notifications when we go live.
Perfect.
So,
You want to begin, or do you want me to begin?
go ahead.
Okay, so we're talking about travel, right?
Yeah, plus size travel.
Okay.
What's your favorite tip?
Yeah. So, well, I will say travel is one of my favorite things to do. I love to travel, and it's super exciting that we're doing it today because we actually just booked our tickets.
Oh, really?
Yes, we are going in next March to California. So, yeah.
We're going to Disneyland.
We're going to Disneyland. We're doing the Disney Mexico cruise, which is awesome. I'm super excited. So, yeah, we just booked our tickets. So, if you're going to ask me what one of my tips would be, if we're talking about airplanes, I know we wanted to talk about what it is to be like plus size and traveling on planes, which it can be a nightmare sometimes. My tip would be do not buy the extender. I know that a lot of people feel like shame in asking. I, for one, don't. I am like a diva on the plane. It's the one time, listen, I felt shame a lot in my life about my weight. The airplane is the one moment that I shine and I stand up and I demand an extender like a freaking queen. I don't know what it is that possesses me in that moment, but I really do. Ask anyone who's been on a plane with me. I'm like, I need an extender. So don't buy one because they aren't regulated. Like a lot of things are coming out now that they're not actually regulated and they're not technically safe, or they shouldn't be used, or you could get in trouble for having them. So just go for it. Just ask for the extender. I mean, if you need to do it privately, you can, or if you want to be a diva like I am, just like demand an extender because you have every right to get one, right? Mm-hmm. So that would be my tip. What about you?
My thing that I haven't flown in a long time, but I used to fly a lot, and when I was probably a size 22, 24 then, and I would always be like Megan. I would ask. I used to carry my own extender, and then one time they told me on the airplane that I should not be using it.
Oh, okay.
And they were very nice about it, but
good.
just told me, so I haven't since then. But what helps me is when I'm booking, I usually check out the airline. I go on Seat Guru and check out the size of the seats, where the best seats are, where the worst seats are.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, yeah. So I used to fly a lot with WestJet because they have a little bit wider seats than on some flights. Now, I don't know if it's still that way, but yeah, they had a little bit more wiggle room. The other thing I used to always do was pre-board if I could, because I used to book my seat at the back close to the washroom of the plane, and a lot of people don't want to sit back there. So a lot of times, if you book your ticket and you're in those back rows, you will end up with, if the plane's not full, a lot of times there's nobody in the seat beside you.
Right.
So, and you're close to the washroom.
Oh, that is such a I didn't even know that you could there was a website that.
Yeah, it's called seatguru.com.
Oh my gosh, that
Or
is a good
yeah,
tip. That is a really good tip.
Yeah, and it has all the airlines, all the plane sizes and all the different things. So
Yeah, I mean, I know some of the airlines, some of the Canadian airlines. I don't know about the States, like, because I know that I can't speak.
there.
I can't speak for what it's like in the States, but some Canadian airlines, if you have to go through paperwork stuff. You have like the documented stuff.
Yes.
They will give you a second seat for free. Like you don't have to pay for that additional seat if you want more comfort. But it's a lot of like, you have to, for one, we're in a healthcare crisis where there's no doctors. So that's hard enough in of itself. But if you do have a doctor, you do have the time and the energy and all that stuff to do the paperwork and submit it and go through that process, it does help if you need an additional seat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite thing about getting on a plane?
My favorite thing about getting on the plane is probably once I get on there and I'm seated and I'm in the window seat and I can look out is when the plane takes off. I love that.
See, I hate when the plane takes off. I'm so scared.
Really?
I love when it comes down. And it's so funny because you'd think I'd be...
I like both, but...
Oh, when it goes up, I'm like chewing my gum aggressively. I'm like that aggressive chewer in the plane.
I'm always watching out the window, trying to see what's going on, how high up we are.
I'm like, I cannot handle it.
I love it.
I know.
That's funny.
No, I think for me, when I get on that plane, my mom always says, when you get on the plane, your worries go.
Yes.
It's like you're on vacation, you're going to a happy place. Usually it's Disney, so for me it's literally a happy place. And yeah, like there's no, restraints on, you have to have a paper due or a project or you got to do work stuff, or it's just your freedom. Right? Like I love when you get on a plane and do that. Like,
True.
It's just like
because it's a different mindset, right?
Yeah.
Like you immediately switch, and you're right. As soon as you get seated and feel like once that plane goes up in the air, you know that you're on vacation.
Yeah.
Or wherever. Even like long ago, I had to travel for work, sometimes by plane, and it was fun. Even then,
Yeah, of
I felt
course.
the excitement of going somewhere different. Or
Yeah. No, I have had pretty good luck with like not a whole lot of like crying children, although I wouldn't mind that. I mean, that is what it is. I actually, the last time we went to Disney, there was this family and they had recently lost their grandmother. I think it was. And the two kids were so sweet, and I ended up chatting with the mom the whole time and the kids and stuff, and it was a very last minute flight, like just like we're just gonna go as a family and kind of grieve and go to Disney and stuff. And it was
so they were going to the same place.
yeah, and
That's
they'd never
awesome.
been, and they were like asking me questions,
And you're like the Disney queen.
I know. And I was like, you got to try this and you got to try that, and yeah, it was great. But yeah, I love getting on a plane and just demanding the seatbelt extender and just being like, I hate sitting by people I don't know.
Yes.
That is, I'm a diva when it comes to getting the extender, but then when I'm sitting next to someone I don't know, I like try to shrivel my body. Like somehow I'm like trying to lose 50 pounds in about 30 seconds. Like it just, you get that?
I get it. Yeah, totally. Especially if you're beside someone who's like maybe a tall man or even a bigger person themselves.
Yep.
Then you feel like you're infringing on their space. It's really, really, I feel like the airlines are kind of cruel.
Yeah.
The way that people
sure.
are shuttled into their and shoved into those tiny seats, because let's face it, the statistics are that most women are over a size 14.
Yeah.
So, which would fit comfortably, a 14 would fit comfortably in the seats. Once you start going up from there, depending on where you carry your weight.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
See, my butt is huge.
Right.
So,
right.
It's...
Yeah, you're more like you're
I'm
more
more
that
hippie,
hourglass. Yeah.
So it makes it difficult because and if you're trying to put the armrest down, or
the armrest,
you're
is
squeezed in there like a
bane of my existence.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do not like.
I suggest if you can, at all possible, if you can travel with someone you know and sit with them, That's
Yeah.
the best, right?
Yeah, because then you don't care. It's like, move over, buddy, you know? Like, that's what I say to my husband, although he's, like, a very big man himself. Hi, Archie.
Hello, Archie. Down, buddy.
We're going to pause for a moment. There we go. Yeah, no, I mean, my husband's a big guy himself, so we're kind of, like, squished in there, but I don't mind being squished in with someone that I'm familiar with. Even if it was
exactly.
us, like, I wouldn't care.
Sure.
Right? But, yeah, when you're with somebody you don't know,
Yeah.
it gets weird.
Yeah, very.
It does get weird. I will say that.
Yeah.
Um,
So we know where your favorite destination is.
yes.
Tell us some plus size things about Disney.
Yeah, so Disney World is very plus size friendly. There's not many things that you can't go on. There we go. So there's not many things you can't go on. The lap bars are forgiving. The actual seats themselves are forgiving. You've got to have good walking shoes. That's the only thing, right? Because if you're carrying extra weight and walking those distances, but you never feel like you're walking those distances because there's so many things that you can see and do, right?
I suppose, and there's a lot of places along the way that you would be stopping, maybe resting and,
For sure.
you know, looking at things or...
Yeah, yeah. So Disney in and of itself is very, very plus size friendly. You see people of all shapes and sizes. We are talking about the United States. So there is, I mean, the population in and of itself tends to be a little bit larger anyway. So, which is, you just feel more at home, and you're down south with a lot of southern like food and everything else. So yeah, I really like that compared to Universal, which is not plus size friendly. You can barely fit on anything, which is kind of eh. What about, so I've only really been to Disney, but Miss Tammy over here she's well traveled.
I've been
Yeah,
a few places.
you're fairly
Yeah.
well traveled.
I've been a few places, yep.
Where's your favorite destination? Well, I already know the answer, but they may not know.
No, I was very fortunate that I was able to live in Belize for a lot of years. So that is one of my most favorite places on earth. But I've also traveled to Guatemala, and I went to Flores. It's on a beautiful lake. It's got very much an old Spanish type vibe, cobblestone streets, and kind of like the uphill, and then the Catholic church is at the top. And
Oh my
and then
gosh.
when you're up high like that, you can see, because the island is very small, you can see the fishermen and things, and there's a lot of cool stuff there. And I traveled from Belize to Guatemala on a bus, and the buses are great. If you're plus size, no problems. I mean, everybody just squeezes in, and a lot of people in that area are bigger as well. So you're not you're certainly not sticking out in the crowd like you would if you went to Japan or
Right,
somewhere
yeah.
like that. And I would say that the Caribbean itself is very, although Guatemala's not in the Caribbean, but the Caribbean is one of the nicest places to travel if you're plus size, because everybody is so friendly and they don't make you feel any kind of way. And actually, you'll probably come out of there with a huge queen ego, because
Yeah.
you know the men will treat you very nicely and call you empress and queen and all of these things. So you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the way you talk, I was super excited last year when I got to go to Mexico and Jamaica, because for all the years that I've known you, I've never been down there. Like, I've always really only been to Florida, and so I've never really been to those like tropical kind of places or the Caribbean.
And I was
so.
excited when you got to go to Cozumel.
Yes, yeah. So the ocean is everything that Tammy described. It's beautiful. It's so blue and pretty, and the sun is shining, and the culture is super friendly and funny. Like, a lot of just funny.
Yeah.
Like, just humor. People are humorous.
And they're used to dealing with tourists. It's their livelihood,
Yeah.
so it's in their best interest to be friendly.
Yeah,
And to
yeah.
be helpful, and to try to make everyone make it inclusive for everyone.
Right.
You know,
right.
I know in Jamaica there's a lot of places where you can go and you can do that picture where you're wearing the dress and you go out on the swing and
Oh,
you know,
yes.
and they make, and I've even seen larger girls doing the jumping off into the waterfall things on a rope and
Yeah, that's so awesome.
yeah. So
That's
they're
awesome.
more plus size friendly in their adventure aspect of things, which I find we really lack here in
Yeah.
North America.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the other cool thing about, and something we talk a lot about on our live shows, is when we're talking about going to like places like the Caribbean, you're automatically probably going to be in some sort of swimsuit.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I mean, I think that's great. Like when I went on my cruise, I lived in my bathing suit. Like I was bikinis every day. Because it's hot and it's fun and it's tropical, and who doesn't?
And nobody cares.
And nobody
I'm
cares.
telling you, nobody cares.
No.
They will not remember tomorrow that Megan was wearing a bikini.
Yeah.
Like nobody cares. They
Yeah.
won't. They won't remember 10 minutes later.
Unless everybody remembers, because I look that damn good.
Yes. Well, I didn't mean it in that way. I meant you wouldn't stick out like a sore thumb.
Exactly.
You'll feel very
Exactly.
comfortable in your body.
Yeah.
And you'll be very self-confident.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's such an important part of vacationing is, you know, you can, because you're not going to see these people again, like most of them. And so you can experiment with wearing bathing suits all the time.
Yeah, that's
Different styles,
good
being
tip.
a little bit like risque with your wardrobe or pushing the envelope a little bit. Like you said, when you were in Belize, you were wearing...
Yeah, I would wear shorts. I would wear capris. I would wear shorter dresses. I won't do that here.
No, yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. There's just something when you go on vacation, when you travel, there's just like
Or even
this-
living in that climate. It's just
Yeah, 'cause you
everybody
lived in
does
Belize.
it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, that's the way everyone dresses. So
Yeah.
nobody looks at you funny. Nobody questions that. But here, you know, you'd get the stink eye.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's different. Like the whole thing is different when you travel and
I
you're
think it's
outside
a
of your
cultural
comfort.
thing. I really do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's a cultural thing. I think North America has set standards that are so unattainable for anyone.
Right.
Plus size women are out of it. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like as far as attainability to that
Yeah.
standard. Yeah.
What was your favorite thing about Belize?
The people. Because to this day they're still, you know, it was just 3 people I talked to today.
Yeah.
You know? And the love I have for that country and those people will never go away. Yeah. Now you're gonna make me cry.
Oh, I don't want to make you cry, but it is.
Yeah.
It is funny how, like, I mean, definitely no comparison because I never lived in Disney, but it is funny how there's certain places that feel like home that aren't home.
Yeah.
But feel sometimes even more like home. Like, I know
Yeah.
Belize is definitely, like, basically home for Tammy.
Yeah, because here I never felt like I fit. I never felt like I fit in anywhere. I always felt like I was too big or too this or too that. There's so many different nationalities and types of peoples and colors
Right.
of peoples and different body shapes and
Yeah.
whatever, that it's much more accepting of differences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. Yeah, and I feel like probably similar to, like, you know, going into the States, even just going to Maine or wherever, like, there is more, feels like sometimes there's more diversity in sizes, but also just people, cultures, everything, than there is in Nova Scotia. And so, yeah, it's a different type of culture. Mm-hmm. And it's fun to explore that. Mm-hmm. Is there anywhere you want to go that you haven't been?
Thailand.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Why?
I've always wanted to go to Thailand. I just love the lush greenness and like the Thai people seem like they are so friendly. I watch a lot of YouTubers from Thailand and
Okay.
like people who are from North America and now live in Thailand.
Yeah.
And it just seems like it's a really nice
Spot?
place to go, and it seems safe, and like I'm not talking like going to the big cities, but going to smaller places and
Like more rural.
yeah, and smaller resorts and things like that, or what they call resorts, which would be a hotel.
Yeah.
It just looks beautiful, and there's spas and there's things, and it's very affordable. So
That's the other thing about travel. Everything is so expensive these days. Literally. I mean, just to get groceries is expensive. So to travel is, expensive.
yeah, I haven't really traveled at all since I think it was 2 years ago now. I went to Montreal on the train, but
Oh, right.
Yeah.
What's the train like?
well, the train, I had been on the train before this trip, so I had an experience with the train. But this time I was in the wheelchair, so it was a little bit different. Or not, actually, I wasn't in the wheelchair,
right.
but
You still needed.
yes, I was using my cane, and then I had to have
You
a
rented.
scooter when I got up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyways, basically, they wheeled me on in a wheelchair, and I was then seated.
Right.
But train was very accommodating, friendly people.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, and we didn't have a cabin or whatever they call them. So we were going to Montreal and spent 18 or 19 hours on the train with a child, my granddaughter. It was taxing for her, but
Yeah, I
other
can
than
imagine.
that, the two of us that went were both plus size, I would say, and
Yeah.
it was very comfortable. The seats were comfortable. People were nice. It was great. Montreal was beautiful too. I would suggest to anybody that wants to travel in Canada, check out Montreal because it's very nice.
And it's super accessible.
Yes, that was the thing. I rented a scooter
Yeah.
and got around almost everywhere. And the one thing I wanted to do while I was there was go on the Ferris wheel. I know. That's what Candy and Kaya said. But when we got on it, it was really fun. So it was accessible in the means that I could take this giant scooter that I had and drive it right up to the Ferris wheel opening door, and you got on it, and then somebody from the helping part took the scooter, parked it for me, and we went on the Ferris wheel. And then when I was ready to get off, they brought the scooter back to me, and it was awesome. Like, it was
That's
really
so cool.
awesome. And there wasn't, I don't think, there was, during our visits downtown, there was maybe one place, like, it was a souvenir shop that I couldn't get in, but most of the other places were accessible.
Fine. Yeah. I remember you saying, like, us talking about how accessible it was.
Yeah.
I did Old Quebec. Was it last year? Yeah, last year.
last year.
Yeah, with my sister.
Time flies so fast.
I know. Old Quebec was absolutely gorgeous. We also did a Ferris wheel. I did not. It's not as pleasant as Tammy's experience. So I've never been on a Ferris wheel before. This is my first time. And I went on and I was like, I can do this. And we literally moved from this side on the ground to this side on the ground. And I was bawling. Like, I need to get off this thing. I need to do I can't. But it was already in motion.
That
so
was
I'm
what
like,
Candy was saying when we were. Candy's my stepdaughter, and then my granddaughter who was scared. It was just the same scenario, right?
I was just like.
But I'm
Gosh.
so glad that I introduced her to that when she was young because she was scared. But when we got up there, she loved it, and she was teasing her mother, and like.
That's good. I spent my time with my eyes closed. A couple of rounds. Like, I calmed myself down after a couple of rounds, and then I would, like, open my eyes to a certain point, and then I close them again. And then I just kept continually doing that. Oh my gosh, but my face... I've got pictures that are hilarious.
Oh, that's a shame, because I find it... Like, I've always wanted to fly, so, I mean, anything that gets me up in the air is great.
Yeah.
But I love it. I was like, the higher I can get, the more I can see, the better I was. It was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't want it to stop. I wanted to go on it again.
Like, anyone who's been on Tower of Terror, and, I mean, Tammy probably knows this anyway because I've talked about it, but, like, so Tower of Terror, for people who don't know, at Disney World, it's like this the storyline is like, the Twilight Zone. You go into this elevator, and it goes up, and then it comes crashing down, so you're seated. And, like, even that, like anyone who, I feel so bad for anyone who's in that ride with me because it's like not even moving and I'm like, oh my gosh,
So,
screaming.
question, why do you do it?
Because I have a sister and a husband. So I'm either at Disney World with my husband or my sister, and they love this ride. And then they say, Megan, go on with me, Megan. And so I go on. I only do it once, though.
Ah, so you're coerced.
Yes. Actually, on our honeymoon, I went on once, and Richard proceeded to go on, I would say at least 10 times. I just waited for him. I was like, I'm not going again.
That's hilarious.
He loves it. My sister loves it. My
Do you think I would
mother-in-law,
like
you would, yeah. You would like it. It's fun for one time. Oh my gosh. I've peed myself on that ride. I've peed myself. I wear Depends when I go to Disney World.
All right. So I'm going to ask Megan. That's another tip.
That's another tip. If you get scared on rides, just wear the Depends to the theme
Also,
park.
the other thing I want to say about that in all seriousness, if you are someone who has issues with being on the plane and you worry about being too big to go in the washroom or things like that, just slip on a pair of Depends. I'm not saying pee your pants, but if you can, and then if you happen to, have an accident, then it's not the end of the world, right?
Yeah. No, I think that's a great idea.
Because a lot of people have stress around going in the smaller washrooms.
I have never gone in.
I've always gone in.
Oh, really?
Yep.
No, the thought of even just getting up and walking down. So it's so funny because I come in like a boss asking for that extender, and then after that...
Once you belted in?
Once I'm belted in, the fear.
The fear hits. The plane's going to take off. Megan doesn't move.
It's like, I don't want to like... Because when you're walking down the aisle, you're like... Especially if you're like my size, you're like, I don't know,
Well,
doing
anybody's
that shimmy.
size. That aisle, I swear to God, is only a foot wide.
And they have the cart going down the whole flight.
The aisle can't be any more than a foot wide.
No.
It's very narrow.
No. And the cart goes down all the time.
Yeah.
And, heaven forbid you use the washroom that is dedicated to the fancy people, right? You can't use that washroom. So if your washroom's blocked by the cart...
See, you're flying high class. I've never even been on the planes that have those people in the front.
So and it's hilarious because the people in the front, like literally what separates is just a curtain.
Yeah.
Just like, it's like, come on.
So have you ever flown? Have you ever got upgraded into that?
No.
Because I hear a lot of people saying that the seats are bigger and da-da-da-da-da. But any plane I've been on, it's just been a smaller plane, so it didn't have first class.
Richard likes to do the emergency exit thing because it's more leg room, but like hopefully...
You're not allowed to use an extender if you're in that seat.
We've been able to sit in those seats anytime. But technically, I think you're right,
Yeah.
But now Richard, this is the other thing. Men and women, I don't know if it's a difference between men and women, but Richard wears like his pants, like... I wear my pants up really high, like past my belly button.
Over your belly.
Over my belly. None of the McNeil boys wear their pants over their belly. They
A
always
lot
wear
of men wear them under their
under
belly.
the belly. So when he's putting that, we're like, I have to get an extender, and he's like, lifting everything up and
Lifting it up, tucking it under.
So he doesn't need an extender.
Way to go, Rich. She just exposed you. He'll be cutting this out.
You're like, nope, delete. But yeah, so he doesn't even need an extender, but he does the emergency exit thing. Now, if there was to be an emergency, I don't know what would happen because I'm usually sitting with him and I'd probably panic, but...
Now, see, I feel like I'm really calm in emergency situations, but...
Well, you know what? I have to say, I might be that way because I've learned in social work that in crisis...
Usually people...
I am pretty good, so... Yeah, maybe I should give myself more credit.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should. Because I think that you would take charge. If something happened, I think you would be like, okay, this is what we're supposed to do,
Yeah.
You get here, you get here,
there.
I could see
And I mean,
doing that.
Richard would definitely have Richard's super strong, so he would definitely
He's strong,
have
but he wouldn't have he's shy, so I don't think he would...
I would lead and he would just,
Yes.
whatever that door
He'd
thing
be the
is.
manpower.
Yeah, the fling the door or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. After that, remember that Alaska airline thing? Like, that scares me so much. Mm-hmm. That when the door flew open.
Yeah, that was just recently.
I refused. I sacrificed my family. I'm sorry, but they had to sit next to the window.
Oh my God.
I'm like, at least if I'm third in. I'm sorry, but
Megan! All right. Note to self. Note to self. Don't fly with Megan.
unless you want to, sacrifice yourself in this random fantasy world that I have that the door is going to fall off. Oh my gosh.
I don't think it's fantasy. There's been more and more airline accidents.
It did happen.
I know, and there's been a lot of.
Yeah.
Who was it? Oh, it was Leo when we were going to pick up Leo. There was technical difficulties with his plane, and they had to get another plane, and that's why he was late.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it happens, I think, more than we think.
Yeah. I think for me, I definitely want to go to Europe. So I've said this name a million times to Tammy, but I've been recently watching Bridgerton. As Tammy knows, I've become obsessed. I read like 6 of the books in a week, and I've watched all 2.5 seasons now. I know, I love it. So I wouldn't mind doing something like London because like that's where it's set. But I think Richard is from like McNeil from Scotland. So there's I can't remember the name of the castle, or there's an island. Baka?
Not sure.
I think it's like Baka. Anyway, there's an island that has like a McNeil castle. And I'd like to.
That's very cool. You guys should do that.
Yeah, I would love Richard.
Like Scotland, Ireland would be beautiful.
Yeah, when Richard and I first started dating, he'd actually like tell me stories of history as we felt like nighttime stories. Like he would tell me about like different historical events. He loves history, so
really.
He's obsessed. Like he would literally tell me like something like
Does
a textbook.
He like that era, like Bridgerton era, for example.
Oh, anything history.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, very fascinated with all, like, the wars and everything. Like, he knows all of that stuff.
That's interesting.
Yeah. He wanted to be a history teacher at one point.
Really?
Yeah.
He would have made an awesome teacher.
I know. Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Never lose sight of your dreams, Rich.
Yeah, there you go. So I think, Europe would be where I'd want to go. But I don't know how plus-size friendly that would be.
I don't know. That's a transatlantic flight from here, so it's a long flight, for one thing.
Yeah.
Which would be very uncomfortable if it wasn't, kind of, if you were squeezed in with 3 people. There's a difference between flying 4 hours to go to Florida or the Caribbean than, overseas travel.
A long time. We do have someone who watches our lives who's actually...
Yeah, Donna Weller.
Yeah. So... Yeah, maybe I can ask her.
She went to London just
recently.
Not too long ago.
Yeah.
I think she has a daughter maybe there or something, I think. But yeah, that's kind of cool.
She's even got the accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that accent.
I have friends from, I met them in Belize, but they were from just outside of London, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
What else is on the list?
I don't know. So I guess I was going to ask you, what is your favorite thing to do when you travel as a plus-size traveler?
Yeah, as a
plus-size
traveler.
What would you suggest? Like, if you weren't going to Disney.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, like, a car trip. Like a road trip, for example.
Oh, my jam. I love road trips.
Me too. You know that.
Yes,
we
done
love road
them.
trips.
Yeah. So first things first, snacks. Absolutely have to have snacks. You have got to have road trip snacks and drinks. I love to go to the grocery store and just grab that kind of stuff, and also if you're going on, if you're doing a car thing, you have more room, right? Like you can bring things with you.
Yeah. Like
which
take
is
the
nice.
cooler, and you can either make your own sandwiches or something and pack it, and or stop and grab even a rotisserie chicken or whatever.
Oh
right?
my gosh, yes, sandwiches. You can. I don't eat sandwiches, but my person that I'm going with could. You could eat them.
Yeah. But
Tammy could eat them.
Yeah. No, not really. But it's nice to dream about them.
What would you do for a car road trip?
First of all, if I wasn't in this chair,
That's the other thing. Yeah.
It makes everything so hard because I
Yeah.
used to be the type of person that camping was my jam. Like being in
Right.
the woods, camping, being close to the water, the Bay of Fundy, like Spencer's Island, all of those
Yeah.
places. But unfortunately, they're not too wheelchair friendly.
Right.
And it's hard to get there when you're in the wheelchair. But I miss that kind of stuff because I used to do a lot of, years ago when I was married to my ex-husband, do a lot of like, we would go to the national parks, like Fundy National Park in New Brunswick,
Right.
and
And you'd bike. You used to bike.
motorcycles, yes.
Yeah.
So that stuff I really, really miss. But I encourage anybody that has the opportunity to get out there and experience. Don't be afraid if you're plus size to try some hiking trails. I mean, you don't have to do the hardest
Absolutely.
one, but just get yourself in nature, even if you
Yeah.
don't do the whole thing. Like, and you know, I guess losing my mobility has made me realize that I'm so happy I did those things because I have those great memories, and I would encourage
sure.
anybody to get out there because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's a great point. Like right now, I'm even like I'm doing like with different diet programs and stuff. You know, you're kind of wanting to lose weight to have these moments, but it's like, what happens if we have these moments before we lose the weight? Like, just, you know, do what you can do and, you know, go out there and try to not hold yourself back, because sometimes when we hold ourselves back for a certain weight or a certain look or whatever, maybe that weight's never going to come, or maybe that weight's going to come but then something's going to happen and you're going to have a mobility issue, or you can no longer drive, or whatever the case may be, right? So it's really important, regardless of size, to just live in the moment and do the things you want to do. You might not be able to go and, I don't know, hike a 20-kilometer hike that's like way up a mountain or something, but then again, maybe somebody who's smaller couldn't do that either, right?
And you have nothing to prove to anybody but
no,
yourself.
exactly.
So you should do what makes you happy, do what you can do.
Yeah.
I used to kayak too, plus size. That's a pretty plus size friendly.
I'm determined to do that this summer.
I mean, as long as you get a smaller, wider boat, that's
Yeah.
totally doable. Or even one of the bigger doubles with the open cockpit.
Yeah.
I used to have a big double kayak with an open cockpit and used to pack it up with everything for camping.
Yeah.
And we just set off and go somewhere,
Yeah.
you know, cool. So you'd be somewhere that nobody else was, and it was
Yeah.
really quiet and just nice.
Yeah, and I think with that, you know, regardless of where you want to travel, whether it's plane, train, car, whatever.
Plane, trains, or automobiles.
Yes, whatever it is, and wherever you go, it's so important to have that mindset that you deserve to enjoy as much as anyone else, regardless of your shape, regardless of your size, whatever. I can remember when I went to Old Quebec, and right outside is this like waterfall, beautiful, huge, tall waterfall that has a suspension bridge across it, and so you can take like this little, I don't know what trolley thing, air trolley, I don't know what you'd call it, like air carriage or something, over, but you still have to go up steps. And I can remember going up each step and being like panicky because I'm going slower than, say, other people were. And then I just reminded myself, I deserve to experience this. I deserve to take my time and not be panicked and rushed. And if anybody wants to pass me, they can pass me.
Exactly.
And so and that had to be, I had to keep repeating that to myself, because it'd be like, I'm holding up people. I'm out of
I've had that
breath.
panic too.
Right? And it's like, no, they can walk past me or they can stay behind me. You know, at the end of the day, we're all going to get up to the same place, and I deserve to be here just as much as the next person. So what's the point of panicking about it? So, I mean, that was probably a little harsher to myself than I should have been, but, you know, just keep telling yourself you are worthy and you deserve to flaunt that bathing suit. You deserve to go for that hike. You deserve to see that waterfall. You deserve to feel really good and sexy and do a salsa in the middle of the Caribbean in that, fresh dress that you just bought. Like, whatever. You deserve to do all of those things regardless of what you look like.
Twirl, girl. Twirl.
Twirl, dance, sing,
Do what you want.
drink, have a rendezvous, whatever it is you want to do, you deserve it all. So just go do it.
Yep. Because at the end of the day, we're just people just like everybody else.
Yeah.
I've experienced that same panic that you were talking about on the stairs. And it was when one of the first times I ever kayaked, and I didn't have my own kayak at the time, and we were going with a group of people, and all of the people were thin.
Yeah.
Except for me. So even though I tried the kayak out beforehand and knew that I would fit and everything, that I was totally confident about that. But then when I got there and saw the other people, my confidence just left. And I was and petrified. And I wanted everybody else just to get in their boats and go. So that I could get in the kayak without everybody looking at me.
Yeah.
But of course, then it was like, oh, you're new. Like they made a big deal of that. And I felt like everybody's looking at me, even though everybody was totally kind. There was no... But it was the internal.
Yep, we're programmed to think that way.
Yeah, and then of course I'm panicking, right? So then I'm rushing and then half falling out of the boat and doing things that I wouldn't normally do if I took my time. And it's. But you're right. You have to remind yourself in those moments that you deserve to be there just as much as anybody else.
You deserve to be there just as much as anybody else. And quite frankly, and we might have mentioned this at the last podcast about mental health. Quite frankly, what someone else thinks of you is not your business.
It's none of your business.
So if you fall out of that canoe, if you show up with something that, and I hate this word, not as flattering, which is so stupid because whatever, but it doesn't matter whether something's flattering or not. Like it doesn't matter what people think. Just go have fun and experience life, and if you
laugh and enjoy and soak in every moment. Because if I could go back, man. The things I would do.
Yeah. And travel doesn't have to be, like we talked about, like leaving the country. I mean, one of my most favorite weekends that was quite healing for me happened right outside Bridgewater. We went to an Airbnb. Me and Tammy went to an Airbnb.
Oh.
And it was like totally off the grid, right? Yes. We went to the Keji. We went to Keji. It to this day has been one of the most healing trips I've ever been on.
That was the last time I was able to walk. Remember?
Really?
Remember that was the last time I was able to walk.
Yes, because
I wanted to be, and I wanted to get to the water.
You walked up that
to
hill.
See the falls, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I really, really wanted it so bad. Yeah. And you're right, that was a healing trip.
That was so healing. And I'll tell you, for me, what was super healing about it. Like, especially when we talk about body. There was an outdoor shower. And so I decided to be outside, completely naked in the shower outside. And there was something super freeing about that. And something super healing about that. Because it's one thing to like just get comfortable with your body like as you're getting changed or like being naked in your home or whatever, but to be completely exposed like outside, like just like a thin little curtain or whatever on one side, like not on the other side, one side of the shower, and to just feel that water and to be completely just surrounded by nature and just kind of everything out there. I don't know, that was super healing. I have a photo from it that
there was beautiful photos.
I took some beautiful photos. It was super healing. And it was a super healing trip. So things don't have to, like travel can be, if you've got the funds and you have the ability, like certainly, but also day trips or little weekend trips.
Keji was quite accessible
gorgeous.
There. Yeah. Because we drove right to the beachfront.
Yeah.
That's where we met Sid, remember, and had the mud bath, which was also really fun.
Yes, we were known as the mud girls. We would scoop up the mud and
cover all our bodies, and then we had a bunch of kids following us around doing the same thing.
Yeah, and that's the wonderful thing about like the road trips is, it can be just a day trip. It can be, Nova Scotia is beautiful. We're super close to PEI. We're within, especially like we're in Truro location, like we're within hours of PEI, which is gorgeous. Yep. New Brunswick.
The whole coast of Nova Scotia, Cape Breton, everywhere.
Stunning.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a place I don't think that you would go.
Yeah. And generally, like, the only thing about Airbnbs I find is that sometimes they do There's nothing wrong with IKEA. I love IKEA. I would walk through IKEA 1,001 times. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the furniture can be a little flimsy.
We found that with that Airbnb down in the valley that
Yes.
we stayed at.
Yeah, so sometimes the Airbnbs can be a little sketchy, like to be fat friendly, because some of the furniture might not be super fat friendly, but I've never broken anything or...
No, I haven't either, but I felt uncomfortable to sit on things because I'm
Yeah.
worried about that, and we
Yeah.
shouldn't have to.
No, exactly. So like that point of view is a little bit more difficult.
So tip to anybody who's got an Airbnb,
yeah, exactly.
make sure that your furniture is sturdy.
Yeah, make sure your spaces are fat friendly. It's something that looks like, because some IKEA is great, but sometimes it can be. I mean,
Very
it's-
cheap.
It's cheaper, right? So it's not as
Sturdy.
sturdy. Yeah,
It's meant for thin European people.
yeah, yeah.
So
Archie, anything else about travel? We'd love for you guys to comment below, like.
tell us where your favorite place is.
Yeah, tell us where your favorite place is. If you live somewhere that's not Nova Scotia, tell us about that place. Tell us what it's like as a plus size person, because maybe we would one day travel there.
We noticed that we had some people from Europe on our.
Europe, United States.
So if anybody out there is listening to us or seeing us on YouTube, please get in touch and tell us where you're from, because we'd love to connect with you and
Yeah.
and hear about where you're from and what things are interesting where you're at.
Yeah, absolutely, because we're definitely, we love to travel. And I think it would be cool to learn about what the world is like as far as plus size goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So with that, I think we are wrapping up this episode. We do have some special guests that are coming on in the next
Yes.
couple of weeks. I'm so
Exciting.
We're going to talk about lots of fun
Fun
stuff.
things. We're going to talk about sexual health when you're plus size. We're going to talk about dating.
Yes.
We're going to talk about thrifting.
There's so much. We're going to
Yeah.
talk about the medical field.
Yes.
So there's a lot of things that we're going to be talking about. We're super excited. So we're just going to keep posting every week. And feel free, please, we encourage you guys to like share with your friends, listen, comment, all of that stuff, because we're super excited with how many people are watching right now. And we're really encouraged that we're getting some good feedback, and we want to be here for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
And we'll see you next week.
Mwah!
Hiding, no more feeling small. We're taking up space, standing proud and tall. Our voice is strong, our stories to be heard, challenging the stereotypes.